The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada now brings you Filipinars, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. And now, here's your host, Doris Bauer.
Well, good evening, Filipinars listeners and followers. How are you all doing? We hope that you are all staying healthy and safe as we are still in the midst of this COVID pandemic. We do thank you for joining us today at Filipinars. And as you know, this program is brought to you as a public service project by the PNANB, or the Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada, in collaboration with PHLB Radio. So before we go to our topic for today, I just would like to give you an update on the current projects that we're having at the PNANB. First is we want to let you know that we're still doing the masks and face shields project. It's still ongoing, still providing masks and shields to healthcare workers and community workers or the community organizations that need it. So give us a call if you need any of those masks and face shields. And also the Give to Nurses campaign, which is a collaboration of between Massage Envy and Philippine Nurses Association. We are extending the deadline of applications to September 15. We do have a lot of vouchers to give, 1 hour vouchers for massage and or facial, whatever you want, but you have to apply to our website. Go to pnanv.org and go to the tab for the Give to Nurses campaign. So we're waiting on your application so we can give away these vouchers for free massages. Okay. So now we are in the month of September. We are still feeling the heat of the summer, and more importantly, the school year has begun. Our children have gone back to school amidst the controversy of opening up the classrooms, conforming with social distancing guidelines, and keeping up with the safety of our kids and the teaching staff. And of course, we have online or distance learning. Now, everyone has been involved in this discussion of where and how school or education should be conducted. Then there's also the question of whether distance or virtual learning is beneficial for both the child and the parent. So it's only appropriate that we look into the learning platforms of our kids today. And I'm very proud and I'm actually excited to welcome our guest. We have invited Mr. Brian Rosenberg to our program. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good. Thank you for taking the time to come. Well, as an intro, Brian Rosenberg is the Chief Executive Officer of the Education Revolution, the creator of Socrates Learning Platform. Brian has over 25 years of business experience in building and growing companies, including helping and implementing software solutions. He's an IT guy, is that right? No, among other things. He previously built 2 companies, including a consulting firm that was an Inc. 1000 fastest growing company award, right? Is that right?
That's right.
Good. And Brian received 2 Smart CEO Future 50 awards and was named as the Distinguished Gentleman of Nevada in the year 2015. Wow, that's great. He has also assisted with the creation of a new charter school in an underserved area of East Las Vegas and has led a successful $80 million project for the University Medical Center. Thank you for that. Do you have anything to add to that, Brian?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, most of my background prior to being in education was in healthcare and implementing healthcare software. So I've worked a lot in hospitals and in implementing electronic medical record solutions. And I just wanted to, just express appreciation for all of the hardworking nurses out there who are on the front lines of addressing this pandemic. I know that it's very challenging from my experience in the industry, and I appreciate everybody and all the hard work they're putting in. Being from the healthcare industry before, I just wanted to mention that because I know that sometimes healthcare workers aren't appreciated as much as they should be.
That's correct, and thank you for that. We love the guys who implement the electronic medical record software, though. Make it easier for us, right? Okay.
Try to, and so always looking at ways to make it easier, and appreciate.
Right. That's great. Okay, so we have a very interesting topic today. And this is about education for our children. Brian, what do you think are the challenges of learning among our children these days?
Well, obviously, education has changed a lot in the last 6 months, and when you look at, when we started Socrates, some of the challenges in the industry that, we talked about a year ago, which had changed. You had overcrowded classrooms, the challenges of budgets and availability of funding, teacher pay and motivating people to get into the teaching industry were all challenges. And so as classroom sizes grew, that personalization for the students became more and more of a challenge, because how do you give the individual attention when you're getting up to 25, 30, 35, and in areas like in California where there were 40, 45 kids in the classroom, how are you able to give them that personalized attention? So a lot of the driver for creating Socrates was to create something that could be personalized. And I think that as you look at that challenge, has not gone away as a result, but actually become much more significant, because now the teachers have less time than ever before. And now there's more and more reliance on the parents, the availability of the parent to be able to help kids, the availability of technology, which creates additional challenges for families that don't have the means to have parents be able to stay home with the kids.
Yeah, and and that's good though, because a lot of these learning challenges involve reading, math, understanding, listening. I think I'm still under the listening challenge and reasoning as well. So you did mention, and we do know that you started the Socrates learning platform. So before you introduce this fully, let's take a listen, or let's take a view of the video of your company.
Socrates guides each child on their unique learning journey, resulting in high levels of engagement and mastery of skills. Socrates is smart and fun, as it automatically adjusts to each child's needs. Teachers, parents, and kids love Socrates.
I'm a second grade teacher, and I love Socrates.
It helps us learn!
Socrates has math, science, and language arts.
And everything else. The games on Socrates make math more fun. I also love the cool avatars. I love Socrates because there's so many fun games.
Kids love the rewards for learning with Socrates, earning tickets and tokens to spend in our huge token arcade that keeps them constantly learning and playing. Card packs like the US presidents, dinosaurs, and mythology keep kiddos coming back to collect them all. Socrates has a bank where kids can save their tickets and earn interest on their deposit. The world of Socrates is constantly growing with badges and hidden rewards that keep kids exploring. Teachers and parents, Socrates is here to help you with actionable data and easy to understand reports at your fingertips. The Socrates Command Center gives you the insights to help you inside and out of the classroom by digging down deep into granular data. Custom awards let you manage your classroom engagement in a whole new way. Badges, notes, and certificates are at your fingertips. With the Command Center, Socrates can guide your child down their unique learning journey. or you can take full control by assigning one or many of our thousands of topics and over 1 million unique questions. The best part is that Socrates is easy to use and easy to set up on any device. Sign up now to make sure your child or student is reaching their full potential. With Socrates, wisdom begins in wonder.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. So we're really interested now, and I'm sure the parents are interested in what you have to say. So tell us how and why you started Socrates.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, my background's been primarily in healthcare technology and using software and data to drive improvements in healthcare processes and healthcare outcomes. And education, I had started up a business actually in 2000 that back in Baltimore, and built up that business and sold it. Would have been 7 years ago now, and moved out to Las Vegas. All of that business was in healthcare, and I've always been interested in taking a lot of what I learned from those experiences and applying them to another industry. Education was always one of interest to me. I think that a lot of people don't realize how challenging access to information is in education. Because we have decentralized education, we have 14,000 school districts in the United States, actually, that there's a lot of information about things like standardized test scores, but there's not a lot of information available during the course of the year to allow teachers to be able to drive the learning experience. And so I'd always been interested in tackling the problem. I have 3 kids, and they're all distance learning at home as well. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and one about to turn 5 this Saturday, actually.
That's so adorable.
All 3 elementary school kids. And as started to have kids, really were interested in finding tools to help them to be able to learn, and found that, my son, personal experience I went through with him was that my son, when he started first grade, his math skills were high enough that he basically had essentially tested out of math. At the beginning of the school year, they give you a test, and he scored higher than he needed to test at the end of the year. But his language arts skills weren't quite in the same place. And that's not unusual that the kids will do well in one topic, will struggle with another topic. And so we wanted to have something that accommodated that. My co-founder, Dr. Ralph Thomas, who started the company with me, his background, actually, he was a PhD in mathematics. He was the first PhD in the state of Nevada in mathematics. And he was a professor at UNLV. And so he worked in the gaming industry, and he'd be really, as a data scientist and improving outcomes in that industry. And he really was interested in getting involved in the education as well, also because in his case, he has a son as well. So we got to talking, and he's actually a neighbor and a good friend. We got to talking and shared some ideas, and he had been interested in creating a platform working with his own son that would adjust based upon his own son's mathematics skills, so that it would adjust based upon where he was strong and challenge him to do better and to maximize his skills. So we started working on that project. He programming on it. We would meet often to get together to work out the details of how it would work and talk to different teachers and principals and parents. And then eventually we ended up applying for a grant with the National Science Foundation. And we received what became the first National Science Foundation, what they call a Small Business Innovation Research Grant, the first winner in Nevada since 2013. And that was what gave us the initial funding to start up the company and finish building out the product. We started showing it to schools, and they loved it. And so we started expanding out from there. So one of the core principles of Socrates from the beginning was really to have something that would personalize and adjust to the individual needs of those students. So regardless of how much time the teacher was able to give them in the classroom, that we would be adjusting and progressing them so that whether they're learning at home, whether they're learning with tutoring assistants, with parent assistants, or with teacher assistants, that they would be progressing, and to provide data to the teacher, to the tutor, to the parent, to allow them to be able to to take advantage of the time that they have with the student to help them wherever they're struggling.
Okay. That's great. Pretty interesting. Actually, Socrates Learning Platform, I was reading up on it, this. You guys won the 2019 Technology Innovator Awards for the best AI enhanced child tutoring platform in 2019,
That's right.
right? That's
Yes.
wonderful. That's wonderful. So, what makes Socrates learning platform so effective in helping kids?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning the award. Actually, I'll announce that we actually found out just a couple of days ago that we were named one of the top 10 tech startups in Las Vegas. So
Oh,
we're very
wow.
excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yes, and really excited to build an education technology company here in Las Vegas. Sorry, what was your question? I apologize.
what makes what makes Socrates so effective in
Yeah.
helping kids?
Yeah, so what really, I think there's a couple of elements that really make Socrates unique and effective. One is the artificial intelligence that we have is adjusting the learning based upon their needs. So we actually track for each student across about 2,000 different topics of knowledge, and we're adding to those all the time, how they're progressing and where they're struggling. And as they answer questions and they engage with the software, we open up new topics based upon their ability. We pull back when they're struggling. And we're doing all that. So if a student's struggling in a particular topic, we'll pull them back a little bit and take them to something a little bit more basic in that area, allow them to reinforce their skills in that area before advancing them forward. And we also look for them to demonstrate what we refer to as long-term mastery. So as opposed to saying, hey, you got 8 out of 10 correct, you're done, you don't need to learn this anymore. What we do is we de-emphasize topics that they're doing well in. And then we reintroduce them later over an extended period of time to make sure they're retaining it. Because one of the challenges that you have, especially with, we're a test-intensive society and school system, right, where everything's about preparing for these tests, and kids cram for homework, and so they can learn a skill for the purpose of passing a test the next day. But we want to make sure that they've retained that knowledge, because if they don't, then they're not going to be able to retain the knowledge of the next topic.
The next topic.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're doing that across all these topics simultaneously, which allows the teacher to know that they're continuing to progress, allows them to see where they need help and intervene. The teacher can always assign them topics. So if they're learning a particular topic in the classroom that day, the teacher can assign it to them as homework, and it overrides the engine for that period of time, and then it automatically grades the homework. So we're also saving the teacher a lot of time in that process. The other thing that I think makes us really unique is the balance of gamification. So we want to make it fun and engaging. And actually, it's particularly important with distance learning, that if the kids aren't engaged in what they're doing, they're going to put in the minimal level of effort. So we wanted to make it something where kids would enjoy spending time on Socrates. So we have about 18 elements of gamification, where built around the idea of a virtual economy where the kids, through learning, earn tickets and tokens that they can use to unlock items in our software that can include both games that they can play for a break, that also that learning content, sort of like it's a token, what we call a token arcade. So like going to Chuck E. Cheese, and it's like if they went to Chuck E. Cheese, but they had to get a good grade on their report card before they could get the
That's
ticket.
wonderful.
And then we have tickets, and just like in a Chuck E. Cheese kind of a model, that they can use the tickets to get just for fun items, such as items for their avatars, for stickers. And then we have educational content like collectible card packs, which work like Pokemon cards or Magic cards, where you open up the card pack virtually, and there's cards of different rarities. And we have card packs of things like Greek mythology and American presidents. So there's learning content as part of what they're collecting. And we even have a bank that they can invest their tickets in and earn interest, so they can learn about concepts of savings. So I think that's one of the key drivers, is that by making Socrates fun and engaging, the kids want to spend the time on Socrates. And then as they do it, it's automatically progressing them based on their ability.
Oh, that's wonderful. That makes it really fun and engaging. Very good. That's cool.
As I mentioned, I have 3 kids, so we have a great test audience in our house to try it.
Of course, yeah. So how many kids are learning on Socrates today?
Yes, it's about 50,000 kids in about 200 schools and libraries that have our software. So, and then in many homes as well. So we're also used for homeschooling, which is a growing market today.
Okay, that's good. So how is Socrates used in schools by teachers?
Yeah, well, a teacher can use it in a variety of different ways, and part of it depends a little bit on, of course, there's pre-COVID and there's now, right? Where,
Sure.
but when teachers had classroom time and it was one-to-one computers, we would typically be used in a classroom where a teacher may show a concept or explain a concept and then have them practice in Socrates in the classroom time. When they don't have one-to-one computers, then we could be used as homework. So we have some schools where they don't have assigned homework. Instead, they give them time in Socrates. And so they know that adjusting to their needs. And then teachers are able to use the information within Socrates to see where the kids need help, and that can help to inform how they use classroom time as well. So we've done a lot with providing different reporting to teachers and to parents so that they can use those as effective tools, regardless of how it is used or if it's used at all in the classroom. And in distance learning, that means that they can assign them homework in Socrates, or they can just watch their progress in Socrates. But just by making Socrates available, the kids will spend time on their own free time in addition to whatever assigned topics the teachers give them. And it's really and we adjust really well to things like special education or gifted and talented because of that automatic adjusting that we're doing.
Oh, okay. So you go by what the kid's learning ability is and all that. So that's great. That's good. Good. So, well, how has COVID-19 changed the learning in schools? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, obviously this is something that took everybody by surprise, and it's created a lot of challenges, and every school district's handling this a little bit differently all around the country. And some people have gone to try in-person learning. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of challenges with that, where one kid in the school gets COVID or one teacher, and kids get quarantined and they have to shut things down again. So it's been very challenging. And most schools are doing distance learning at this point. And what we found is interesting. We launched in a group of 45 schools in Mexico right before the schools closed due to COVID. They closed in Mexico right about the same time they did in the United States. And in those schools, we saw significant increases in engagement as they learned from home, because the kids would have more time to learn and to play on Socrates. And even though many of these were doing it on phones because they didn't have devices at home, they loved the software and they were spending the time on it. And the teachers found that a very valuable tool in order to be able to help the kids. If you look at, schools are trying a lot of different things, and there's some kind of mega trends that are happening as a part of this. Homeschooling was increasing anyway because of issues like school safety and some challenges around that. This is accelerating the adoption of homeschooling. There was also another trend around microschooling where parents in neighborhoods would get together and create like mini schools. So
that's micro school is, okay.
That's what a micro school is. And micro schools can be as small as a couple of kids. They can be as big as a couple dozen kids, but it's a concept of saying that you're going to be effectively a privately run school that's going to use the tools that you want to use. You might hire a teacher, or maybe one of the parents runs it. But essentially it becomes similar to homeschooling, where you would have kids from different ages together, but it's more of an organized way for a group of parents to homeschool together. And that's been on the rise all around the country. And certainly that is going to increase as a result of coronavirus as well. In schools themselves, they're doing what they can. There's challenges in getting devices to people. I saw, you've got percentages of kids that still don't have access to devices. So there's equity issues that come into play. There's challenges of keeping kids engaged in a Zoom environment, and nothing's more chaotic than 38-year-olds on a Zoom meeting. Experience that, both, seeing what the teachers are going through as well as a parent and seeing the other side of it. It's harder to engage kids. And I think that's part of why tools that excite them and motivate them are more important than ever before.
Are more important. I like that micro school idea because, these days, if I were to have kids now, I'd probably go nuts in trying to find out what the curriculum is and trying to do this. So with the help of other parents coming together, in one place with their kids, I think that's great. That's good.
Yeah, that way parents can help each other too.
Help each other, right?
So maybe the kids are in one household one day and another household the next day. Take advantage of some of the different parents' skills. One of the challenges the parents have with homeschooling in general is that they may not necessarily know how to do everything. And
Mhm.
and as my son is in 5th grade now, and as he gets older, I realize how much math I forgot. and and then parents also struggle with the fact that math isn't taught the same way it was when many of us were kids.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and and so parents who are homeschooling appreciate tools that help them to be able to help their kids more effectively. And so we're trying to address some of that as well through the process.
So you look at the challenges of the parents with their kids, helping their kids learn, and you hone in on that as well. That's great.
It's, in part, it's interesting because I was thinking about, you was thinking about distance learning and some of the challenges around that. And so I have
Mhm.
one of the people in my company is a parent of 3 as well. And he really struggles with distance learning because his wife is a teacher. And so she's doing distance learning from home. And so he has to take care of making sure that the kids are doing everything they need to do. And half of that time these days is tech support for the kids. I mean, every parent
Mhm.
has become a tech support expert.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old can get on Zoom meetings on her own, but when she has problems with those Zoom meetings, she needs help. And it's so amazing to me that she can even get on the Zoom meeting herself. And I think that there's a lot of challenges that parents have with being able to do their jobs while spending time helping their kids. And what he's found actually since he joined Socrates is that he has the kids using Socrates in between when they have their classroom time, and it keeps them busy and engaged and learning, and it's helped him to be able to focus. But I think parents are struggling with, how do I do my job and do a good job at it, while at the same time being tech support, being a babysitter if they have kids who are younger. And not everybody's in a position where one or both parents can work from home. In many cases,
Right.
neither parent can work from home. And so some of these kids are kids who are at home on their own, and motivating them to learn becomes challenging as well. So we've a lot of challenges that we're dealing with as a society as a result of this. And I think we're going to be dealing with this for quite a while longer, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks that way. Yeah. You just mentioned a lot of the challenges also of distance learning. So, that would be very difficult. And then the kids are cooped up in the house and all that. But in the same token, I think it is good for these times. And having maybe Socrates as a platform for learning also keeps them from, adds to their safety in surfing the net.
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
That's right, because internet safety is a concern, and another thing, another challenge that I think that teachers know about, but parents don't necessarily think about, is the loss of learning time. And in spring, schools were taken by surprise and weren't as well prepared as they are now. But still, the teachers aren't getting as much time with the kids as they used to. And what's happening is that you had months of learning that they lost in the spring. You already have what's referred to commonly as the summer slide, where kids lose knowledge over the summer and have to be reinforced.
Oh.
And so every kid's behind. And it's going to take a long time for the system to catch up on that. And for teachers are trying to adjust to that as best they can, but every kid's adjusting to that a little bit differently. And some kids aren't engaging in distance learning at all. And there's going to be this left behind aspect of the generation, because parents may not be in a position to motivate them to do it. And I think that as a result, if you look at in the spring, a lot of teachers were instructed by the schools to not teach anything new because of equity concerns, because there were kids who couldn't get online. And as a result, they just reinforced skills they had already taught. Problem with that is that means that there was 3 months of learning new topics that didn't happen. And so there's going to be this catch up that the entire industry is going to be dealing with, which could last for a few years.
Yeah, unfortunately. But do you believe that schools should resume something?
Resume personal learning. I think that what we're seeing in the schools that are opening is that we can't yet. And it's interesting how that the perception just somewhat evolved in the sense that if you were to ask me in July, I think like a lot of people, I thought this was going to go differently. And I thought we might be in a position where it'd be reasonable to put the kids in school in August. And a lot of schools were looking at the hybrid models at that point. But I think the reality is what we've seen with the schools that have opened in person is that the challenges of one person getting exposed and all the implications of that is too much. And so I think that we're in a better position to continue distance learning until things get more under control. And I don't know if that means until we have a vaccine or until cases have gone down to a significant amount. But I think that we have to be prepared for distance learning for longer haul. And even when learning returns, it might be in a hybrid model. And I also think we find that a lot of parents for a longer period of time won't put their kids back into the public school systems or the private school systems. So I think that that distance learning is going to be a part of at least for the balance of this school year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So how does Socrates help then with distance learning?
I think you look at, first off, there's kind of a variety of ways. I think first off, just motivating the kids is a big part of it. We've got tools that allow the teachers to be able to issue special badges and rewards to the kids and communicate with the kids that help to do that motivation. But in the end, a lot of it's just the gamification that motivates the kids to spend time on the software. So kids will use Socrates over the summer. They'll use it in evenings, weekends. So if a teacher says use Socrates for the next hour, they're going to do it. And that's a big plus because a lot of the learning tools that are out there, the teachers have, that won't happen. And part of it is just knowing that the adjusting that occurs automatically is a big part of that. Because parents know that when their kids are spending time on Socrates, that even if they see them playing a game, that they've earned the right to play that game. They've earned the time through learning. And they know that the child's going to be learning something that's appropriate for them because of that automatic adjusting. So some solutions, the child can pick what they want to learn and they can be learning something that's easy for them. And so knowing that it's automatically, if it's easy, we're adjusting for that. We're going to be taking them onto something harder. So it's never too easy. It's never too hard. And I think that's tremendously helpful in a distance learning environment where they get little face time with the teachers. Or if you are a parent who has your kids or you're homeschooling them, then having tools that allows them to be able to progress their learning without being in a position where you have to spend every waking moment of the day with them, because that's probably challenging for you.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And just so for the listeners, Socrates Learning Platform is for kids from K to 12?
K to 8. So we have 8. Okay. K to 8, yes. So we're middle school and elementary school. Our middle school content is as completed as elementary school content, and that's what we're building out. We'll do high school eventually as well. An interesting aspect of our solution is that ultimately we can use the artificial intelligence and gamification to teach any concept, and so we're partnering with third parties to deliver new content in addition to the content that we're creating ourselves. So right now we have math content, we have English language arts content, science, and we just released health and safety as well. And then other modules such as sight words for more specialized purposes. Great.
So I heard you have a new offering called Aristotle.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Yeah, so Aristotle is something that we obviously follow in the Greek philosopher names. It's interesting. The name Socrates came out of the Socratic method, asking questions to inspire learning. So that was one of the reasons that we picked the name. And interestingly enough, one of the very first education technology solutions ever created was called Plato. So that was a motivator as well. But Aristotle is a new solution that we offered for people who want kids to have a little bit of additional attention. So we have licensed teachers, credentialed teachers providing guidance to parents, where on a regular basis they will look at where the students are struggling. They'll provide recommendations to the parents that includes both worksheets for them to work on, suggested exercises, suggested activities to do at home, and other things that to help the parent to be able to know where their children are struggling. So teacher basically doing the assessment of looking at the data and providing them with specific recommendations, giving them the benefit of a tutor at a fraction of the cost. And so it's made a very low cost addition to the Socrates product. It's a brand new offering, and we did that really coming out of looking at where a lot of parents were struggling that with the coronavirus, that they may be homeschooling, but be very concerned about, do I really know how to homeschool? And so knowing they have that additional guidance from a teacher, or they might be in a situation where their kids are distance learning, but they feel that their kids need a little bit more help and attention than they're able to get. And so we've made that offering available, and that's something we started up just a couple of months ago, and is actually our fastest growing product right now.
Taking off, huh?
Yeah, so that's really excited about that product.
Yeah, that's good, because, like you said, a lot of the parents don't have a lot of time to do this, and sometimes they need help. Yep. So that tutoring factor is good. That's good. Okay, so Socrates is available right now in how many languages?
We're available in English and Spanish. So I think I mentioned before that we were in schools in Mexico. So we've actually expanded rapidly there, and as a result, Spanish has become a big priority. But we found actually that's worked really well for the U.S. schools as well and students, because for English language learners, very effective tool. And we did something interesting there where we allowed the teacher or the parent to define the learning language of the student, so they can decide when it's time for them to switch back and forth between one language and another on any given topic. So that's exciting, and that's something that we found that the ELL teachers really like. We've built in the technology to add additional languages, and when we say we're available in Spanish, that means that all of our questions are available in both languages, all of our videos, and so there's significant effort into that. And right now we have about 2 million questions built into the software, and somewhere in the vicinity of 600 learning videos, and over half that content is available in Spanish as well, and we're expanding that all the time. So we'll be adding additional languages in the future, and so we're always interested in feedback and suggestions about languages to add, but we've built in the technology. It's more a question of doing all of that translation work as we add on languages.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can get it in Tagalog or maybe in Chinese.
Yeah, as you know, my family's my wife speaks Chinese, and my kids are all learning Chinese in Socrates actually. So so that's not an officially released module, but we've been testing out Socrates teaching languages, and so my kids practice their Chinese skills in the software.
Oh wow, that's awesome! That'd be really awesome. Okay, so how would one enroll into come to your program?
Yeah, so we have you can enroll on a website, which is with Socrates.com, and I'm happy to share the links and everything. But and we have a variety of different editions available. As I mentioned, the Aristotle offering. The prices are very affordable. We have solutions that include specific modules if you just want math, just language arts, and then there's what we have the gold package, which has everything included, and then Aristotle also includes the entire thing. We also have a classroom edition that teachers can sign up for, and then special arrangements for schools as well. So I encourage everyone to check it out and to try it out with their kids.
Oh, check it out! Definitely check it out. Socrates.com. Okay.
With Socrates.com. WITH Socrates.com.
Okay. WITH.
SOCRATES.
Okay. All right. We could probably show that, that link. Right. Okay. So, Brian, do you believe that learning will ever get back to the way it was, or are there any long-term changes in the way that the kids will be learning?
Yeah, I think that in-person learning will return, and I think that many parents need that to happen for
Yeah.
be able to do their jobs for their personal sanity. But
Yeah. Sure. Right.
learning will return. But I think that it's going to be different in a lot of ways. In that I think that first off, education technology, which has not been adopted at the speed that a lot of people expected, that will change. There's going to be a lot more money available for education technology through different programs. Schools are going to all have computers now. Schools have been trying to get one-to-one computers for a very long time and struggling to get the money. Now all of them have found the money and rushed out to do that, to get computers in the hands of kids. So devices being a part of learning is going to be important. You think about that while they're going to struggle with certain, being behind in math and ELA, their computer skills are going to be significantly better than ever before. And just the idea of a 5-year-old using Zoom probably wasn't something people thought about.
I know. I had a nephew who had an iPad when he was like 2 years old, and I'm like, oh my God.
so kids, they've learned how to use different technologies and devices, and the kids were good at this before, but I think it's going to accelerate all of those trends. And so I do think we're going to see a significant rise in homeschooling, in microschooling. Many parents will be reluctant to put their kids back in the school system. I think we all hope that this will be 100% behind us by the time the next school year starts. But we're all going to be prepared for the next thing that happens. And there's always the possibility of a future pandemic. This is, we'll all be better prepared for that, and people will be better prepared to adjust. But it's going to change the way that people look at the role of teachers, the way that people look at the way that students interact with schools. And certainly homeschooling and microschooling is never going to go back to the way it was, at least not in the foreseeable future. So I think that in many ways it's accelerated trends that were already there. And I think that's true of the entire economy, not just of education technology. It's accelerating online buying and all the purchasing, all these other things. These are all trends that were already happening, but in ed tech and in schools, I think that's very much the case. I think that it's more important than ever that parents understand what kids are doing to learn, what tools they're using, and engaged in their kids' education. And I know that that's hard, and every parent wants to do that, but it's always hard for them to find the time. And that's a problem we're constantly going to be looking to help to make better.
Yeah, I do totally agree. I had meant to correct myself. Not my nephew, but the son of my nephew. When he was 2 years old, he was showing me. He was going. He was looking at the shapes, and then that's a rhomboid. I'm like, what is that? Had no idea what it was. It's funny. Technology, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you see taking the Socrates product in the future? I mean, this is obviously a very awesome product for learning.
I think that as we look at evolving the product and in the future, a lot of it's going to be about making more content available, because we want have more topics available. We've partnered with a children's book publisher called Brightstar to create additional learning content that includes books that they have, hundreds of books that they published, making that available through a platform called the Brightstar Socrates Learning Platform that allows the kids to be able to have ebooks, as well as the content that we have, watch videos, and really expands the scope of the platform, and also allows us to have a lot of content for preschool kids as well. So we're really excited about that and that partnership, and I think that is going to be a big part of our expansion. But as we partner with other as we build out more content and get into older grade levels, we're going to be able to continue to impact more kids, and also always looking for new ways to engage the kids. Gamification is evolving, and kids need a lot of fresh content. to stay.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
always new card packs, new ideas, new games, and finding new ways to make the product better. So that's why also we love feedback from parents and teachers to make the product stronger.
Okay. All right. Well, so what is your message to the kids, the parents, and the teachers?
Yeah, I guess, it's interesting. I think for the teachers, just how much we appreciate what they're doing. That teachers in many states where they are doing in-person learning have become frontline workers, and that certainly wasn't the expectations they had taking those jobs and the exposure they have. But every teacher is really working hard and trying to find ways to make this new model work. So, to them, the appreciation. To the parents, that there are ways that you can help your kids to continue to expand their skills and to learn, and to give them whatever time you can. And that doesn't just mean not just online learning. I think that the time with them to take a walk, to make sure they're exercising. They're spending a lot of time sitting in front of a computer right now, is really important. And just getting the time to play board games, watch a movie, those kinds of things are more important than ever before, to have those kids feel connected, because they don't have the social atmosphere of their friends. And, the kids, I think that it's just, this isn't sort of the ideal way that all of us wanted this to be, but it's amazing how resilient the kids have been through this, and just keep doing what they're doing and doing everything they can, and try to do your best to help your parents too, because it's hard for them as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, thank you so much, Brian. Mr. Brian Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic platform, Socrates Learning Platform. Thank you for coming to our program today. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that your viewers enjoyed as well.
Thank you. I hope so. The information you actually provided about alternative learning platforms for kids is really great. And thank you so much for all you do. And please say thank you as well to your wife, Candy, and Rosenthal, who helped facilitate this interview with you. Hi, Candy. Thank you. Okay. And to the parents and the kids, we are in a unique time where a pandemic has affected our normal learning and schooling systems. Millions of classrooms are still closed, and kids and parents are faced with homeschooling and distance learning challenges. These are tough times. Only message that we can impart to you is that we are all in this together, and we will get through this. So just do your best and do your part to keep everyone safe. We still encourage you to keep your social distancing, practice and maintain good hygiene, and wear masks in public. Okay, and thank you very much for listening. This is Doris Bauer, your Filipinars host, signing off for now.
The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada has just brought you Filipinars, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. Fridays, 7 p.m. on PHLV Radio.